Turbo Trading with head trader Robert Knight, MBA.
This is a talk on stocks with large short positions and a catalyst and the effects that'll have on the market for them. This stock BFRI this morning, it did have news out, so it had a catalyst. Sorry. It wasn't it's a fairly new issue, 5 months or so. It's a former runner. Now it normally traded very low volume and very small range, but the last few days it had these pops. So this must have been anticipation of the FDA news. And then this morning we got news of a FDA results or something approved by FDA, I think it was. And so midday the stock, or early this morning, the stock popped on that news and was halted. So unless you were in this trade, you didn't have an opportunity to get that. And then it gapped up it opened at the 490 level, pulled back to 463. So when I saw this, I had written about it this morning, I think. Let me just check. I did not, because it happened after the markets opened. They got the news. So, but when it was halted, so I looked at it, and what I did is I went to Float Checker. And this shows 5 different websites: Yahoo, Finviz, TD, Morningstar, and Wall Street Journal. I normally go with just the Ameritrade number. So here it's 3.6 million. But what's important is 23.67% of the stock is short. Now it's only, so 23, that's what, I think it was 800,000 shares was the short position. So on a stock that doesn't trade much, because I have another short interest here. This is the BFRI as well. This is shortsqueeze.com. So you see here the short interest rate, days to cover 0.3. So there's only 852,000 short. On this one it says 10.6%. So that's still quite a bit. On an 8 million float, you've got 10% of it short, so 852,000. But it's only 0.3 days to cover, so that doesn't, one big day and it's all covered. So what you're looking for are 3 things: catalyst, 4 things: catalyst, low float, big short interest on that low float, and a high number of days to cover. Now I normally say when there's between 0 and 5 days to cover, that won't bring much action. Between 6 and 10, that'll affect the price of the stock, and then over 10, let the fireworks begin. If you have over 10 days to cover on a stock with a catalyst and low float, that you just want to buy that stock at the opening because it's going to go. And they tend to really go a long ways. But we only had 3 days to cover today, so it didn't get that big of a pop. But it had a very low float, so I knew it after the first opening here. And you usually get two halts before the stock maybe corrects. So here was the first one. So the second one, when it opened, I just jumped in. I put a market order in. I got I think I had a 5-10 limit, but I got filled at 5, and it popped immediately and got halted again, and then boom, off it went. And now after the second halt, normally you're going to get a pullback, which it did, and it got halted to the downside a couple of times. And now just trading sideways in here. But the reason that I had a strong feeling that this was really going to go, good news, small float, and a large short position relative to the float. And sure enough, it did. But you can see it didn't continue because with only 0.3 days to cover, you can see that within 1 day, the shorts, anybody that wanted to cover was able to do so, and they didn't have to chase it higher. and now just flagging in here.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Reach new levels of trading proficiency. Become a member at turbotrading.biz.